What is going on, VV fam? Welcome to VV Investments. I appreciate you tuning in. On today's episode, we're talking about 6 things you can do to prepare for the VEVEVERSE. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So my intention for today's video is actually going to be covering the interview that David does with Binance New Zealand. However, I'm not entirely sure when they're going to be doing that interview. We're covering 6 things that you can do to prepare for the VEVEVERSE, some of which pertain to phase 1, meaning the VV homes that we get access to, but some also pertain to later phases down the line. So we do still have a little bit of time, but like I've said in previous episodes, if you want to take advantage of opportunities like this, you want to prepare beforehand. So with that being said, let's hop into the first thing you can do to be prepared. So starting it off, and this is going to be one of the bigger points in today's episode, but learning Unity or Unreal Engine. And we do know that both of these platforms are going to be compatible with Cavernous, or in other words, the software that supports the VEVEVERSE. But Cavernous is going to be built directly on Unreal Engine. They have an Unreal Engine pack as well as a Unity pack that allow developers and designers to create things within these platforms and then import the files into Cavernous, or in this case, the VEVEVERSE. The better you know how to use these game engines, and I would recommend choosing either one. I wouldn't choose both because it's quite an extensive process and takes quite a lot of time to learn just one of them. But the better you know how to use these engines, the more opportunities you will have in the VEVEVERSE, okay? Whether that's creating full-blown environments, specific 3D models, so on and so forth. But the more versatile you are with the tool, the more opportunities you have, and obviously the better skills you have within inside the engine, then the more appealing that'll be to potential customers. Nobody's going to be buying a 3D model in the VEVEVERSE from somebody that doesn't know how to 3D model, you know what I mean? Or isn't good at it, should I say. Now, I'm teaching myself Unreal Engine. From the research that I've done so far, it just seems to me that a lot of the bigger game studios end up leaning towards Unreal Engine. I'm not necessarily saying Unreal Engine allows you to do certain things that Unity won't, but from my understanding, there's certain things inside of Unreal Engine that you can do much easier, whereas in Unity, there's a little bit more of a process or hassle, if you will, to get certain things done. Now, we just talked about 3D models. I'm sure some have heard this phrase, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If we know that we're able to sell 3D models inside of VV's marketplace in the VEVEVERSE, why wouldn't you start creating 3D models now, right? Get ahead. Start building a portfolio now. The biggest possible challenge I see with this is Dan did mention in one of their community update videos that VV will be approving the 3D models. So with that being said, I'm not entirely sure what the prerequisites are going to be, or if that's just him kind of saying, any inappropriate content, we're just going to flag and, prevent from flooding the marketplace. But I just created a new Word document and I just wrote out a full list. I got 20 different points of certain items or sets that I can create 3D models of inside of the VEVEVERSE and sell to people that want to use them as accessories inside of their home space. I'll give you one example because I do think that some people probably have already thought about this, and especially considering we got Mr. Block McBlockchain in the community with his fish, creating an assortment of 3D fish tanks and aquariums for the fish. That's going to be one example, but like I just said with Unreal Engine and Unity, the better you understand how to use those platforms, the more opportunities you're going to create for yourself. The same way that the more 3D models or ideas that you come up with now and start executing now, the more potential you're going to create for yourself when the VEVEVERSE drops. Now, still sticking on the same topic of 3D models, but flipping it the other way, we're going to talk about scanning physical objects to turn them into digital 3D models. So apps like Polycam use LiDAR to allow you to create 3D digital models from scanning physical objects in your environment. Polycam is going to be available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store if you guys want to check it out. But what I can essentially do is walk up to any object in my environment, and I can walk around, do a little 360, scan the object, and it'll digitize that object using LiDAR technology onto my phone. Now, although I haven't completed this full process myself, what it'll allow you to do is take the models you've now just scanned, put them into other platforms like Blender, for example, do any additional work, final touch-ups that you want to, maybe add certain things, and then you can export that model, import it into Unreal Engine or Unity, convert it into the .holo file type, and then eventually import it into your VV home. Now, maybe you're someone like myself, right? You don't have too much experience with 3D modeling, but you see an object around you that you would love to have inside of your VV home. So walk up to it, do a little 360, scan it, and then complete the steps I just walked you through to get it into your home space. But it doesn't even need to be an object in a public environment, for example, right? It could be an object that you already own and is sitting in your home right now. With that being said, what would you guys scan? right? Are there any objects that you guys own that are sitting in your home right now that you guys would just walk up, pick up, and kind of scan real quick to put it into your VEVEVERSE home? Or if you do have something in mind that you don't own that you would want to scan, what would that be? Our fourth point today is going to be talking about business material, or in other words, if you have a specific idea for a certain type of business you want to run inside of the VEVEVERSE, why wait to start creating some of the material now? Yes, there may be certain details that come out down the line that prevent you from doing certain things that you intend on doing now, but that's business, okay? There's going to be obstacles, there's going to be challenges in your way. Whether you choose to push through them is up to you. So this is something I've actually also been working on in the back end. I want to take the work that I do right now in the social media space and be able to duplicate and transfer it right into the VEVEVERSE. Now, I currently operate a little bit more as a freelancer / independent contractor, whatever you want to call it. But inside the VEVEVERSE, I do have the intention of creating a full-on brand. So in this case, someone like me would want to, create a logo. I'd want to determine the colors and the fonts that I would use for that brand. Maybe I want to create a website. I want to set up my social pages on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, that type of stuff. And I can also begin creating rough drafts. Rough drafts, like I said, details can come out that can change some of this, but for any copyright and creative material you would have for your business. So let's say, for example, I want to provide a certain line of services, then I can create PDF flyers that promote and outline the details of those services, and then also a flyer that breaks down my payment structure. Maybe some promotional ad content, whether that's for an advertising campaign down the line or just your social media pages when you do launch them. There's so much that you can do here. But again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the more that you have done now for this type of stuff, even if there are some details that come out later on that change some of the things you intend on doing, it's not hard to kind of tweak and make changes where needed. Second to last, we're going to talk about leveraging an AI platform known as ChatGTP. If you guys haven't heard about this platform, you're living under a rock, I'm telling you. It's blown up lately. And the possibilities with this platform are not only mind-blowing, but just endless. If you haven't checked it out already, I strongly recommend it. I haven't provided a bunch of examples in this video, and that is done on purpose. My intention is to create an entire episode around this AI to show you guys the certain ways that you can use it to help build and accelerate, keyword there, accelerate your growth on Vivi. But this AI bot is going to be much easier, in my opinion, to use than Google. I hate coming across typos in a video. I always notice them after I upload them into my recording software. Use the wrong then, but whatever. The reason why it's easier is because instead of you having to type in something on the search bar in Google and then having to look for the right answer while filtering out all of the bad information, ChatGTP brings the answer right to you. Now, I am going to provide one example in this video. I'll toss it up on screen now, but I asked the bot to create a short advertisement that promotes my latest avatar skin, since we know we can import 3D models and use them as avatars in the VEVEVERSE, and I said available now in the VEVEVERSE. So again, my grammar's a little off here, but AI is like talking to a human, but luckily it knew what I meant. Its response: looking for a fresh new look in the VEVEVERSE? Check out our latest avatar skin, available now. Our skin is sleek, stylish, and customizable to suit your unique personality. With high quality graphics and attention to detail, you'll stand out in any virtual crowd. Whether you're exploring the VEVEVERSE with friends, attending virtual events, or just hanging out, our avatar skin is the perfect way to make a statement. So why wait? Upgrade your look today and join the fun in the VEVEVERSE. So ladies and gents, boys and girls who are old enough to KYC on Vivi, that brings me to the last point on this slide, and that is using ChatGTP to create copyright in minutes for your intended projects in the VEVEVERSE. So I just talked about the little branded agency that I intend on running in the VEVEVERSE. I can use this platform to write promotional content for my social media pages. In fact, funny enough, I've actually already done that for some of the freelance work that I do. I reside in Ontario, which is central Canada. I have a client in Western Canada over in BC, British Columbia, who owns a fairly large construction company. One of the materials he actually uses on his job site, he's considered an authorized dealer for that company, meaning he gets the material he's using at a discounted price, but he's also able to sell it and distribute it to not only homeowners, but also other contractors. The building material is called Superform. It's like life-size Lego, foam blocks, fire resistant, bunch of other features. But I typed in at ChatGTP, write a short social media post for LinkedIn discussing some of the benefits of Superform ICF. And next thing you know, within 20 seconds, I had a full-on social media post that now has many likes on his page. Some might look at that as cheating, but to be honest with you, I look at that as me working smart versus hard. And last but not least, and again, another big point that people really need to take into consideration here, having the proper equipment is crucial, okay? So take our phones, for example, with the Vault Space on the app. There's not a single user in the community right now that has a phone that is powerful enough to support the Vault. The reason why I say that, it's only a matter of time before you end up putting in too much. If you have a phone with higher processing power, then of course you can fit more in the Vault, but you're still eventually going to reach a point in time where there is more in that Vault than your phone can handle. I'm making the assumption that the exact same thing can happen with your computer in the VEVEVERSE. I've made some comments in the past about how my current computer won't even handle some of the details I want to put into my videos, so I don't even have everything implemented so far because my computer just ends up crashing. It's the exact same outcome if I put too much into Blender or Unreal Engine or Unity. My computer just ends up crashing. And of course, game engines like Unity and Unreal Engine require more processing power to render very detailed scenes or intricate designs. The last thing that you want is for phase 1 to be released of the VEVEVERSE, but then your computer doesn't even have the processing power to be able to play it, right? That would suck. So if you haven't taken that into consideration already, it's definitely something you should prepare for beforehand, making sure that you have the right devices, and if not, the funds in order to get the right devices. Now, speaking of the right devices, a VR headset is going to be another one. We know that there are various different headsets that are compatible with the VEVEVERSE. So if you're someone like myself where you want to experience the VEVEVERSE in first person like that, then having a headset is a requirement. Now, I don't have one myself, but I do actually intend on getting one before phase 1 drops. But up until this point, we've only been talking about the VEVEVERSE. Let's say you're somebody who's very active in the Vault Space on the app already, and you consider yourself somebody who's just going to be building all the time in the VEVEVERSE, whether that's your home space or creating accessories, whatever it may be. Then using platforms like Unreal Engine and Unity, again, are requirements. So you have to have a computer that's capable of handling them. If someone like myself wants to create a 3D model or a particular set of, toys or characters that I can import into my home space, well, I can't do any of that if I don't have a computer that's capable of rendering it. So that's going to conclude today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Now, I'm sure there's many things I did miss in this video, so if there are any things you guys are thinking about in terms of things you can prepare for in the VEVEVERSE, make sure to comment them down below. But if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. As for our next, I'll catch you then.